Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for November 29th to December 5th of 2015. And on November 29th, we have the sun. You can see it denoted right here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Sagittarius, and it's also in the 9th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we've got the chop mark for the 9th hexagram, numbered from bottom to top. The 9 goes yang, 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 yin, yang, yang. And then the 9th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here we have the 9th gate of focus, the taming power of the small. Potential can be fulfilled through detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. Located in the sacral center, in a collective logic energy path in the understanding circuit called the Channel of Concentration, a design of determination that connects with the 52nd gate of inaction, keeping still, the mountain, temporary and self-imposed inaction for the benefit of assessment. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on November 29th. We have the sun in the 9th gate with the earth in the 16th gate, the north node in the 46th gate with the south node in the 25th gate. Mercury is in the 5th gate with Venus in the 32nd gate. Mars is in the 48th gate. Jupiter is in the 47th gate. Saturn is also in the 9th gate with the sun. We've got Uranus retrograde in the 51st gate, Neptune in the 37th gate, and Pluto in the 38th gate. Excuse me. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And the neutrino forecast is really just a weather report. No matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ruru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And we begin the week with 2 channel definitions due to the transit field. We have the south node in the 25 and Uranus in the 51. This is the channel of initiation of design and needing to be first until November 29th. Where we might experience some sort of leap into the unknown. We've had this channel defined for 4.5 months, and it's been very intense. You can see it being played out in the politics and events globally as well as locally. This is an individual channel that empowers through the courage to take chance on something unknown and deal with the consequences afterwards. Obviously, following your strategy and authority will help you determine if this initiation is correct for you, or if faced with multiple possibilities to experience a quantum shift, which ones, if any, are correct for you. In the mundane world, we're likely to see people become more competitive, pushing the boundaries, getting outside of their comfort zone, which is shocking to themselves and others as they feel the wonder of their own unique spirit. If you experience people acting unpredictable during this time period, recognize it's a conditioning force that's going to be moving on this week. But it could seem like folks are less in balance while experiencing this foreign energetic. With the defined ego center, folks without may feel as if they have something to prove or want to improve themselves or make promises or commitments that are not correct for them. And then the defined G center could influence those without to obsess about where they're headed, what's their direction, where they're going to find love. And again, this is individual circuitry, so it brings with it melancholy or blue feelings that are best used in some type of creative activity. And then we've got the Earth in the 16th gate and Mars in the 48th gate. So this is the channel of the wavelength, a design of talent until December 3rd. This is a collective logic channel for folks who have it in their chart. This is about reaching some level of mastery through practice. This channel is about caring skills. Given that it's just here for a short period of time, defined by the program, it's hard really to consider how it will condition people, but folks might find you might find that folks are engaged in some repetition of some type of creativity to make gradual improvement. Collective logic creativity is different than individual creativity in that this creativity is earned through hard work and commitment that is to be shared with the collective, whereas individual creativity is about empowerment in the now. The defined splenic center could influence those without to experience intuition and well-being. Rod warned that the non-splenic people may let go of something that is good for them during a transit defining the splenic center, and then the defined throat may influence those without to talk about what they experiment with, what they identify with or not, to attract attention. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi-Ching line values daily because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said, we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. November 29th, we begin with the sun in the first line, the investigator line of the 9th hexagram. The sun in the 9-1 is sensibility, a balanced and responsible approach to problem solving, exalted, the ability to avoid frustration through the creation of new forms, the power in focusing to create new forms. Detrimented after a hasty and frustrating search, the urge to kick in the door when the keys are in your pocket, the power to generate that which will lose its focus. And we're in the lower trigram, first, second, third lines are these are days when people are more absorbed in their own process, more looking inward, with the theme of the first line day being a fear and anxiety that needs to be investigated. So this is energy to study, not to act, energy to look into things, not to jump. A good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. But then later on the 29th, the sun then leaves the investigator line and moves into the hermit line of the 9th hexagram. And this shift happens at 1:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so just an hour and 9 minutes after midnight Eastern Standard Time on the 29th. The sun in the 9-2 is described as misery loves company, exalted collaboration with others to temper frustration, the power to collaborate with others in focusing, detrimented the overwhelming need for expansion that can lead to errors in judgment, missed opportunities, and depression, the drive to collaborate that will miss the focus. Excuse me. In second line days, people are waiting. They're waiting to be called, particularly called for their natural talents. Again, lower trigram, people are stuck in their own trip. So again, maybe not a great day to have a party or a big social event because folks are more likely to want to stay home under that influence of the hermit. And then later on the 29th, the sun then moves up into the third line. So it leaves the hermit line, moves into the martyr line, again, 9th hexagram, at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is just 38 minutes before midnight on the 29th. The sun is detrimented in the third line of the 9th hexagram, the straw that breaks the camel's back, the overlooked mirror element that it always predetermines a failure. Detrimented, persistent force that saps vitality and turns molehills into mountains. The power to turn focus into an obsession. And third line days, when we're talking about the martyr, we're talking about a trial and error process with bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into us under that third line energetic, so you want to be careful on the road. Be careful of things in your environment, whether it's a swinging door or somebody's swinging elbows. It's a day where we might have bonds made and broken or experience a trial and error process. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately, those things could lead to some type of discovery. And then also on the 29th, the North Node moves out of the 46 and it moves into the 6. And also, the south node leaves the 25, and it moves over into the 36. All right. Take this tape off. It's been on there so long. So, all right. That looks correct. We've got, Ra talked about the nodes being an opening for neutrino energy from outside of our solar system, and that it could be representative of our environment. The nodes are almost always retrograde, so the shift represents moving from the first line of one hexagram to the sixth line of the previous hexagram. So we've got the north node in the sixth. This is activating the energy of friction, conflict, the fundamental design component of progress. The law that growth cannot exist without friction. And in the 36th, the south node is in the gate of crisis, the darkening of the light, the rule of cycles in which decline is a natural but not enduring stage. On the 30th, the sun then moves up into the fourth line of the ninth hexagram, and this happens at 9:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the fourth line of the 9 is described as dedication, regardless of pressure or stress, the disciplined attention to detail, exalted right action that leads inevitably to actualization, the power to act on the potential of focus, detriment of the persistent urge to want to skip essential steps, the drive for action that ignores the details. And fourth line days, this is a change from the lower trigram to the upper trigram, from moving from more of an inward perspective to looking outward, moving from more of a personal perspective to a transpersonal perspective. With the fourth line themes of friendship, companionship, networking, fourth line days are great energy for social interaction. December 1st, then, the sun then leaves the opportunist line, moves into the heretic line of the ninth hexagram at 7:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the fifth line of the ninth hexagram is described as faith, the trust that detailed adherence will lead to fulfillment, exalted loyalty to the law, to the letter of the law, the power to focus and bring value to concentration, detrimented like the mystery of God, doubt engendered through the perceived illogic of a process, where lack of power to concentrate leads to doubt. Fifth line days, the heretic, we're talking about projection. The projection always goes positive and then negative. Positive, they could do it, they're the perfect person for it, and then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it, doesn't want to do it, for whatever reason, they're not meeting that expectation, that's when they get punished. That's when the heretic gets tied to the stake. Basically, we're talking about things like universalization as well as suspicion. Universalization is where something can spread rapidly like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post or whatever. Some folks talk about paranoia being associated with the fifth line, and how that impacts the nature of relationships. As I've said before, if they're projecting on you and you are not meeting their expectation and they are truly out to get you, then that's not paranoia, is it? Seduction is also a theme of a fifth line day. And then also on the 1st, Mercury moves from the 5th, and it moves into the 26th gate over here at the heart center. And we have Venus moves from the 32nd to the 50th. So we'll start by talking about Mercury. Mercury in mythology was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication and expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music, according to Ra. And what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 26th? Everything from lies to great truths. This is the gate of the egoist, the taming power of the great. the maximization of power of memory applied to nurturing of continuity. Mercury in the first line of the 26 is a bird in hand. Exalted, the ability to enjoy the dreams engendered by accomplishments in order to avoid the delusion of unlikely potential. The ego, which transcends limitation through dreaming. Detriment and accomplishment as a license for foolhardy risk-taking. The refusal of the ego to be satisfied. And Venus, moving from the 32 to the 50, in human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood, according to Ra. It brings morality, values, natural law in which we deal with the other, and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Your design and personality, Venus is telling you about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life. And then if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. And in the 50th gate, Venus is in the gate of values, the cauldron, the values of historical continuity whose traditional values serve and enrich the present and future. Venus is detrimented in the first line of the 50, the immigrant, humbleness of origin that benefits rather than restricts destiny. Detriment, a dissatisfaction with or embarrassment with origins that makes an obsession of refinement. A dissatisfaction with original values that demands refinement. On the second, the sun then moves into the 6th line of the 9th hexagram at 5:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 6th line of the 9th hexagram is gratitude, the joy which comes with accepting small rewards for small victories. Exalted, where the power of the small nourishes right perspective. The power to enjoy the concentrating process. Detrimented, no single step of value until the journey is over. The energy to express that cannot find joy in the process until it completes. And 6 line days, we're up here, we're on the roof of the hexagram. And I like to usually think about the 6th line when I think about being on the roof of a building. In that, when we're on the building, we don't tend to look at the building we're on. We're looking at what's in the neighborhood, what's down the road, what's on the horizon, things like that. And, Rod talked about on 6 line days not to get stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your shins or your kneecaps, whereas it's a day of lack of focus on what's going on around you because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. And then like a 3rd line day, there are certain challenges, certain dangers of maybe not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming under the influence of the line of the role model. And then on the 3rd, the sun then moves from the 9th hexagram, leaving behind Saturn, and it moves into the 5th hexagram. And the Earth moves out of the 16, and it moves to the 35. So we have this shift. Okay, so we've got the Earth. It's in the 35th gate of change, progress. By design, progress cannot exist in a vacuum and is dependent on interaction. This shift happens at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the sun in the 5th gate of fixed rhythms, waiting, the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awareness. And the sun is in the 1st line of the 5th hexagram, which is perseverance. If the captain must, he goes down with the ship. Exalted, courage in the face of adversity, the power to maintain one's own rhythm. Detriment, the premature and often disastrous urge to cut one's losses. Weakness in maintaining one's rhythm when challenged. And so, again, we're in a new hexagram. 1st, 2nd, 3rd lines being the lower trigram, more of a personal process, People are more looking inward, more absorbed in what's going on with them. With the investigator, first line energy of a fear or anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day where you have the energy, the influence of the forces is for research and things like that. And then with the Earth in the 35th gate, and we've got the South Node in the 36th, we've got the Channel of Transitoriness, a design of a jack of all trades. And this is talent until December 9th. So this is a collective abstract channel that has the talent for adventure with the wisdom that nothing lasts. The channel of the wavelength which preceded this is the talent that comes from practice and refining the pattern to reach mastery. This is the mirror image is about a rich experience in life, but it often does not meet the individual's mental expectations or those of others, and needs to be seen as part of a wider plan that will eventually reveal its depth and wisdom. This may influence people to want to make changes and have new experiences. The adventures of this definition can bring maybe be story worthy, but use your strategy and authority to determine if the experience is correct for you or not. This is a very sexual channel that wants to do something new and different. The key with this channel is to enjoy the experiences without placing expectations that could lead to disappointment. The defined solar plexus, for those who do not have emotional definition, can bring that unfamiliar wave of emotions and perhaps lead to acting confrontational. The defined throat can influence those without to talk about what they feel, or that they feel it's time for a change or not, in order to attract attention. The fourth, the sun then moves into the second line, leaving the investigator line, moving into the hermit line of the fifth hexagram here, and the sun in the second line of the five is inner peace, the ability to ignore the temptation to take premature action, exalted the gift of maintaining composure through idealizing tranquility, the power to be comfortable with one's rhythm, detrimented inner peace experienced as stagnation, the drive for power that is constrained by the fixed rhythm. And again, a lower trigram, as we talked about before, the second line energy is one of waiting to be called for natural talents, where people are really just looking inward, wanting to stay home, wanting to be a hermit under that energy. And then on the fifth, the sun then moves into the third line. So we're in the third line of the fifth hexagram at 12:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the third line of the fifth hexagram is compulsiveness, the fear engendered by the sense of helplessness, resulting in unnecessary stress and activity, exalted compulsiveness that can be limited in its negative effect through flights of imagination. Though still stressful, they do not lead to action, a surrender to limitations of a fixed rhythm through the empowerment of the imagination, detrimented, unable to surrender, and at odds with one's own rhythm. In third line days, as we talked about before, the martyr, it's trial and error process, bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. So it might be energy where you feel like things are on trial, that bonds can be made or bonds will be broken, that things maybe not going the way you necessarily had planned them to go. But hopefully, if they go in a different direction, you find some type of discovery from having that experience. And then also on the 5th, Mercury moves out of the 26 and up into the 11. And so Mercury, again, this is about communication and what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 11th. Stimulation through seeking and reflection. This is the gate of ideas, peace, a harmonic condition in the individual or society that permits assessment before renewed action. In the first line of the 11, Mercury is in the line of attunement, serendipity of being in the right place at the right time, exalted, the nourishment derived from being with those who share the same goal and aspirations, the gift of finding those who value your ideas, detriment, the fear of anonymity, the sense that no one will value their ideas. So no matter what the energies are that are conditioning you during the week, remember this is an experience that's about being a passenger that's riding in a vehicle that's being driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what the dramas that beckon to distract us. And we're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time to observe your play, to watch your movie as well as act your part by remembering you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on December 6th of 2015 and available on the 5th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as video or text as widely as you choose. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And as always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. All my best to everybody.